and welcome back to another episode of World of Unknown. And we have a guest with us today, but of course, I am Danny.
I'm Trevor.
And today we have Chris with us. Chris, how you doing, brother?
Terrible.
It's good to have you then and share this terrible day with you. Actually, Chris was a guest on our other podcast we have out there, the PGS, Pimp Camp Shrimp over there, and he did really great on that. So, Chris, you're an aspiring actor. You're a comedian. Right now, you're doing odd jobs just to kind of, feed the need and pay the bills and stuff. But
just did my first audio book too.
Oh, it did his first audio book. I heard about that. I heard it's really cool. So I hope that goes over well, man. So he is definitely an actor, and he is definitely knowledgeable about all things of movies, of paranormal stuff. He's just he's a fun guy to have on here. So I'm glad you were able to join us here, buddy.
This thing is a weird trap. All the
beautiful information and knowledge that we need. Hey, so let's jump right into it.
Yeah, right.
We're gonna jump in today to haunted Las Vegas. All right, we can start hitting casinos and stuff, and all the beautiful ghost stuff. And then, and I don't know what your stance on ghost is, Chris. You have
I've had some weird things. Some stuff happen where I'm like,
maybe we'll jump into that, in a little bit here. But let's go over exactly, and let's just go over a basic. Exactly what ghosts are. I know everybody comes in and stuff, but ghosts are usually a spirit or souls that have passed, people who have passed on, and their souls linger for either be unfinished business. It was trauma. It was so sudden they don't realize they're dead. Mm-hmm. Attachments to people or things that can bring them here. Again, not knowing they're dead. They're seeking help or communication. There's something left that they need to do before they move on. We have Persephone Rose kind of mentioned that.
You need to do the laundry.
Exactly. I didn't do the laundry. I mixed the whites and the browns together. Oh my gosh!
Separate them and wash them right.
The residual, there's the residual energy. The recordings we have, residual haunting stuff that happens. It's not. It's haunting, but it's not technically haunting.
We've talked about that, and we think it might be different things too, like time travel, space. It could be a lot of things.
Right. It could be a lot of things. Residuals are a little different on the haunting spectrum because it's not. I guess it's a haunting, but it's just a recording, basically.
Yeah.
Just a live, actual recording. And we touched on that a little bit before. And then there's other ones that are just bad, malevolent spirits that come out all the time that come. And those kind of stuff would be...
After talking to Persephone.
Yeah, that happens, right.
Some different
stuff
things
that just maybe weren't human that can go and stuff. And
try to act human.
Basically, that's what a ghost or a spirit is. Regardless if you believe it or not, that's what they're basically... That's would cover most of what hauntings and ghosts are, basically, as we go on. So... Las Vegas. Now, Las Vegas is not a very old city,
We're coming up on 100 years.
Coming up on 100 years. When was Hoover Dam started being built? Right. About now, 100 years ago, right?
Yeah. I think it was in the 20s.
Yeah, we're just coming up on 100 years of Vegas actually being a relevant town. We started up because of Boulder Dam Hoover Dam being built and stuff. They put the little thing in Bugsy Siegel and the whole thing that
the mob came in.
The mob came in and wanted to take advantage of all
that.
Exactly, they did something to do. So people are kind of like always make the mistake that hauntings are going to be places that are super old, like in England and Europe.
No, I think it's more.
And that's not true, as we know.
I think it's more the energy that was put in the place,
that's
and
basically
whether it was bad, good, like that. I think that's more.
So that's where another key opponent of why the Vegas has a bunch of haunting stuff is the rapid,
crazy city.
Fast-growing growth of the city and the turnover. The mob influence in there, that's a lot of stuff. They aren't always on the up and up. They're not the friendliest people sometimes if you're on the wrong side. If you're on the right side of them, if you're on the wrong side of them, they take care of business right away. Tragic events. We have a lot of tragic events. Every city does.
Yeah, but I think we have a little bit more than most, just because people come here, they gamble, they lose everything.
Yes.
And we were talking about earlier, they jump.
Yeah. It's why anything goes atmosphere. And sometimes a lot of times it goes wrong. And
they sell their house.
Yeah, dude.
Right. Well, it's us that live and work here. We know that, and people come in like, I didn't win today to win this. I always tell them, like, remember, guys, these casinos are not built on winners.
Nope.
They're built on losers. And they're very big, nice casinos. Just to tell you something.
Yeah,
obviously, you do come here and you can be lucky and stuff, but don't
expect it.
Don't expect it.
If you come in and expect it, you're done.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and of course, hidden histories. We don't know if every city has hidden stuff going on, whether it be nefarious or just stuff that happens. So we talk about
dark side.
Hotels and just hotels, not even, Las Vegas casino hotels, just main hotels in general.
Yeah.
How many deaths happen there that these hotels don't,
people pass away, and, murders happen.
Right, exactly. They don't sit there and put on the marquee, hey, we've had 5 hookers here die the last month. Exactly. There's something they're trying to
had the
down.
Strangler here.
Exactly, the Strangler.
Yeah, right.
So I can imagine as a place for Las Vegas, which is even known for it's a destination place, has so much more people than other regular hotels.
Yeah.
That you can have more of that. It
And
just
you don't
happens.
hear about any of it because they pay a lot of money
Well,
to
you
keep that
questions.
quiet.
And that makes sense. You know, you have a business at a hotel, and again, not just Vegas, any hotels in major cities and stuff, they don't want that stuff getting
Look,
out.
little Timmy, this is where that guy died.
They don't want to have public going, hey, come on in. Yeah, we just had a hooker die in that bed. Don't worry,
Yeah.
we're going to wash it off for you. You'll be good to go.
You'll be fine.
You know, yeah, you'll be fine. Exactly.
Actually, we have, since we all worked at one of the same casinos together, there was even one time that at a said casino that it was robbed. So I literally went to work, picked up my bank, went to work, went to go drop off my bank, and then all the cashiers were all talking, and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, oh, we got robbed at gunpoint today. And I'm like, I am right over there. And you guys didn't say a word to any of us. And they're like, you don't hear it.
And then like also, this is the type of stuff we actually see in the casinos. This lady had a heart attack, got taken away, and I watched, like I saw this. She got taken away. She checked herself out of the hospital against the doctor's orders.
Yeah.
She came back to the machine that she was playing in the nightgown.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Played, keeled over dead.
Yeah. Well, that's
Like-
not shocking, unfortunately.
Yeah, like that's how, you know.
I've never
this-
seen anybody in a hospital nightgown, but I've always seen them with the little wrist things where they get from the hospital that's still on.
I've
They're
seen it a couple
the other-
times, yeah.
A few times people are like, give me scissors, I need to cut this off. I'm
like, dude, what are you doing here?
Man,
You should just have a heart
attack.
You have a
It
stroke.
happens. You know,
I'll be fine. As
Yeah.
long as we hit the button. You're like,
no, gambling is a strong addiction, man. So it does some crazy stuff to you. So that's those are reasons why, you know, Vegas
just
is a
energy,
hot spot
yeah.
for that bad end. Well, I don't even say bad end, just the energy of that lends to it. You know, all the emotional residue and historical stuff.
Unfinished
so
business.
Yeah, unfinished business.
Yeah.
All that
I
kind of
gotta
stuff
hit
that
the
goes into
jackpot
it.
now, man.
You know, what's crazy it is somebody has that. If it's longing enough, you know, that could latch onto them if they don't.
Yeah, I've seen it.
You know,
Yeah,
that's
I've seen
that's
it.
sad, but it's crazy and stuff. But
Well, remember Persephone says that guy comes in.
yes, there's a guy
She
to the
thought he
bar.
was like a real guy.
Comes
and
to
he
our
comes
bar.
sits at the sidebar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You didn't know about that?
No.
Oh, yeah.
There was
Comes to my
so
bar.
she
Hangs out.
didn't notice it. Like
Yeah.
she just always sees this guy come in, sit in a seat.
You guys saw the last
and,
episode with Persephone.
Doesn't say a word to anybody, just sits there.
He likes the
The atmosphere, I guess.
atmosphere,
and
yeah.
so
Yeah.
she didn't know until someone went and sat in that seat
where he
on
was
top
at.
of him, and
Yeah.
she was like,
"Oh, okay, all right, that makes sense."
Like,
Because
yeah.
we don't acknowledge him or stuff. So that
Yeah, like he just
sometimes
sits
it's
there,
hard
just
and-
is quiet.
But yeah,
and, you
so
know.
you got people that linger that either like that guy just kind of likes being here. You know,
Yeah.
some
Just
some
doesn't
reason
wanna
he
be at
didn't
home.
move on and he just likes it and just whatever it is. And
Maybe
stuff,
that was
so.
his safe place from his wife.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
maybe you know it's his happy spot.
It's
Whatever
like
it
this
is.
spot she didn't
Exactly.
know about.
This was the seat that I got away from it.
So why don't we start kind of jumping into some of the stories?
Yeah, so like even like our hotel, it's apparently on like Indian burial grounds. That's
Native
some of the
American?
some of
Yes.
the rumors I've heard, and
Yeah.
like
Oh,
people
God.
always say the convention area is haunted, and I've walked in there when there's nobody in there and the lights are off. It's not
The
fucking
banquet rooms,
haunted.
yeah.
No, I think the bathrooms might be.
I mean, the banquet rooms.
Yeah, the banquet rooms.
Okay, the
But, like,
bathrooms
I-
might be.
Yeah,
I've
'cause
heard some
remember I
weird
told
stuff
you-
about the
remember I
bathrooms.
told you, like, I-
You're
like-
not the only one. I've heard some.
I went in there to do some business, and like you see, like you hear things, and then like one of the doors just kind of swung open on me.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Oh.
So I'm thinking someone's fucking with me. So
Yeah.
I got up and nobody was in there. I was
yeah.
like, and I went up. I told him, I was like,
Nah.
yeah, I think the bathroom might be haunted.
They're like, I'm good.
But like,
Stay away from that.
The
That,
ghost
like-
shitter.
yeah, like our hotel, like I think it's just a rumor, but there are hotels on the strip that have definitely had some tragedy to it, and,
Especially the ones that have been there. And
Yeah,
again,
long.
They don't have to always be there long, but it just builds up more when
yeah,
it's
and
there.
So we have some,
Yeah,
crazy
that's
like
crazy.
Circus. Circus is actually about to get demolished.
Yes.
Disney's
I
gonna
know, right.
build some beautiful thing there.
Okay. All right.
And apparently, people like when they're in their rooms, they hear people scream, "Help me!" They see things in the mirror. I mean, that's
Circus
some
Circus been there
tragedy.
for a while. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff for a long
I couldn't
time.
imagine some
Yeah.
of the accidents
Creepy
that really
clowns.
happened there.
When we moved here in the early '80s, that casino seemed old then, and it was
Yeah,
already
it
old and
was.
outdated
God,
then.
yeah.
You know, and this is
Yeah.
like '84, '85 when we moved here, and now, and this, I mean, again, they're going to be destroying it, but still, I mean, that stuff is going down. So,
Well, the last time I went in there, I went to the steakhouse, and it was just so run down.
steakhouse.
yeah,
It was so bad.
Those servers are still there from day
Yeah.
one. They're
I
like,
know.
Oh, man.
But no, like it was like I'm walking with my wife, and I'm like, I'm taking her to the steakhouse, and I kind of looked at her, and I went, I think I should go back and get my knife. This is
Yeah,
not a good
bad.
area.
Like,
This
that's
is
too
not
bad.
a
Not
good
a good
area.
area.
Like I'm
Right.
seeing hookers and pimps and like just I'm like, whoa.
And then
All right.
the crazy thing too is that I'm a big love movies. The floor that's in the casino is still the same flooring because they've never changed that because that's the same floor that they used for Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Really?
When he came into town,
yeah,
everybody's
yeah,
like,
that is a market. Yeah.
and it was that was the casino that he went to was Circus Circus. So that's why
okay.
the
Movie was
floor,
a,
he was like,
movie was a long time ago.
no, it was a long time
It's
ago.
it's
Yeah.
the
But
90s.
they have never changed the carpet because they're like, that's the.
This is Fear and Loathing.
But it's still disgusting carpet.
So guys, and just
can't wash that
just
out.
as a side note, and a little break from the Honda stuff, that tell them right there, never go to casino and walk in your barefoot.
Please
no
don't.
socks.
Please
Never.
fucking don't.
Always.
That's the nastiest thing I've ever seen.
I wouldn't even do it in the hotel rooms as it is, or the hallways, but especially the casino floor. They're like, well, they wash it. No,
No.
you can never wash that kind of stuff
I've
out there.
seen
You
people
don't know.
put ash on the floor because they don't want to
We've
use
seen
the front.
people piss and crap all
Feces.
over the
Oh
floor.
my god, throw up
Everything,
on the floor.
throw up.
Stuff doesn't wash.
Bleed on the floor.
Sorry, just
Yeah.
a little,
Yeah, just
little
don't
note
do
from
that.
your friendly
Don't do that.
We call
Las
it
Vegas
swine feet.
bartender.
Swine feet.
Never ever.
It's because you'd be walking through all the swine. Not like,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
all
yeah.
the
Exactly. So anyway,
All
sorry.
feet get black. Oh god.
So what else about Circus obviously has a lot of going on
Yeah,
there.
you know what? I'm sure the Adventure Dome too. I'm sure there's been
Yeah.
pretty bad accidents in there.
Yeah, I'm sure there has. Yeah,
And-
Right.
again, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sure there's tons of stuff we don't know, and injuries, and not just injuries and deaths that go
Yeah.
on. They
Yeah.
don't advertise that stuff. Let's go for it. It's not good
Yeah.
for
I'm wondering if someone fell out of one of the rides.
I was gonna say like
Yeah.
this roller coaster or
'Cause,
something.
you know, they're not really up to code
Right.
on some of it.
right.
And it's
You know, and speaking of that, that brings up years ago. I had a gentleman that was living here, and he was working one of our regulars for an old bar I was at, and he was actually one of the roller coaster guys, the
Okay,
checker
yeah.
ones and stuff. And he was working for, I don't remember if it was Adventure Dome or if it was for the New York, but. He used to work over in California, and he told me the difference because the California roller coaster or the whatever they do over down there is so strict and everything's on cue here.
Yeah.
Because here, he goes, I was shocked on how bad it is not up to code here.
I believe it.
And
but
how
we
flexible
don't-
they are. And I go,
we don't
wow,
have any
hell no.
theme parks really.
Right.
Yeah.
California
No.
has a shit ton of themes. They have to be very
They have
strict,
to
you
be.
know.
But it's kind of
Disneyland
crazy
and
that you think casino would take extra steps to be
Well,
very
no,
kind of.
that's not their thing.
They're like,
As long as you're gambling afterwards, you
And what I
fall
was
out.
saying with the right, exactly.
As
don't
long as you
care.
put some 20s in the machine.
Well, what I was
that's
saying,
a
we're
winner.
good.
Because those usually like in hotel things behind the scenes you can kind of cover it up,
Yeah.
But usually like the roller coaster, the 2 maybe 3 roller coasters we have are
Yeah.
like out in the open. It's really where everyone can see it. So I'm just kind of shocked that they're not a little bit more. But again,
Well, I mean, New York
Right.
has gotten stuck a couple times.
exactly.
Oh, that's
Pretty
awesome.
bad.
So
Upside
speaking
down
of that,
too.
speaking of that, let's go into my first casino that I got. So I'm gonna tackle the Bally's of Las Vegas here. So
That's a good one.
Bally's, if people don't know, originally opened up as the first MGM Grand
Yeah.
Casino, which
Yeah.
opened up in '73, basically, and it was a big old, being MGM Studios opened up was a big to do, and they had all these stars stuff open up, and supposedly when it first opened up, you had stars walking around everywhere because it was MGM Studios and stuff. So it was, back then in the '70s. Every new casino, and I guess still now, it was a big.
That was
a
the place
big
to
thing.
be.
Yeah, it was a big
Right.
place to think. So this building, and I'm trying to get the number again. The total cost was in the millions. Obviously it's not like what it was today.
Yeah,
but it was like around about. I'm going to say around about 10 million. They didn't put any water sprinklers or alarms in there because at the time it wasn't
wow.
coded to do that. You didn't have to. From what I understand, though,
And how
to
did that
do
not
that
burn
would have
down
been
yet?
like a 200,000. It would have been, and they're just like, no, we're good.
And this is back in the day when everyone smoked.
Yeah, right.
So
Fell asleep in bed with lit cigarettes and shit.
Right, and as those don't know, the original MGM Hotel in 1980, November 21st, 1980, in fact, actually caught fire.
Yeah,
the
that's
fire
about right.
actually started not from a cigarette; it was from a display case in a cafe that was not open at the time; it was closed. So the fire went unnoticed for a bit. So when they first opened up this place, everything was open 24 hours. And then,
Yeah.
you know how that goes. Every once in a while, like, okay, we don't need to have this open all
Then
the
they
time.
cut costs.
Right, they cut costs and everything. So this fire went unnoticed, went behind the wall. And from my understanding, and I remember hearing how fast this fire went, but it was like 15 feet per 2 or 3 seconds. So it was.
Oh, hold up. Was that the one that
And-
it went through the entire casino?
Yes.
And people were like
Yes.
dead.
So
So that's why that
Right.
when you go in a casino and you ever see like the fire alarm go off, certain doors will shut
Yeah.
automatically.
Well, now, right.
So you don't get backdrafts through the entire casino like that. What
Right.
happened there?
Okay, yeah. So going on that with no fire alarm, and this is early in the morning too, where a lot of people, not super early, but it was early enough where a lot of people still sleep in the hotel.
Yeah.
And there was no fire alarm, and there was no sprinklers. This thing went to the hotel where most people were trying to sleep and wake up, and they end up dying a lot. The fire engines that finally came out, their ladders couldn't reach most of the floors up top. They could only reach to like the top 10 floors, and
How
this
do
thing's
they
like
fix
30
that?
floors.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Wow.
the fire escapes weren't very well. It just wasn't up to code
like
at that
Titanic,
time.
right?
Right.
As soon as you went in there, you were dead.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
you're
it was
like,
up
"Damn
to,
it."
and I'm trying to get the number, 80 something people died in this
Yeah.
thing. And after this is when they Nevada now we got the strictest alarm
codes and
fire
stuff like
codes
that.
and everything.
Well,
and now
yeah.
it's it should have been beforehand, but it's hard to.
You know,
They're like,
70s.
oh, would this happen?
They were, you know, it was,
Yeah,
it was very loose in the 70s.
It was very loose, exactly. So after that was the only good thing come out of that. Is that everything got up to code, and it's very strict now.
And we've had
in the country
a couple fires where
Right.
they put out pretty quick. you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Was
But
it
as-
Mandalay Bay?
Mandalay Bay was on fire.
Right.
Yeah, a couple of
MGM
them.
got caught on fire. There was
Right.
like a lightning bolt that hit
Yeah.
one of the casinos.
So now if people are going looking at ballots, you want to look which one. Now there's two towers now. The first tower, the tower that's nearest the strip is the newer tower that was built after. It was built in
so
83,
that's that
84,
one, okay.
basically. The other tower that's on the Flamingo, because where the valley sits is Flamingo Road in the strip.
Yeah.
So it's on the Flamingo side. And they read, so it opened back up, I guess, like 9 months later. Little side note, when we moved in here in 84, we stayed. My dad had got a security job over at it was still MGM at the time, and we stayed in that that tower and everything. Didn't see anything, but we didn't know. But I remember looking.
Was there fire alarms?
But yes.
Okay.
Well, this is the afterwards. Yeah. Well, and I remember one of the channels. Now saying that,
going
one of the
back.
channels had a 24-hour feed of them talking about the updated of the sprinklers and the fire alarms, and it was like Charlton Heston, a main guy, going up there. It was a continually because they
And
want
we
you to
have
know
50
this is all
gallons a
outfitted.
minute coming
That basically,
out of our fire alarms.
You're laughing, but I mean that's basically what it was. I mean, he was
they
telling
wanted,
exactly.
well, they wanted
Yeah.
to make everyone feel safe and shit.
Exactly.
I get
Well,
it.
obviously,
Yeah.
right.
I
so
get it.
with that, when we talk about tragic events, obviously we got a lot of sightings of stuff happening there, happening on,
Yeah.
of it goes because it's just. It was a traumatic
I've been
event.
in there
It was
a couple times. I haven't seen anything.
Right. And strange enough, people think people burning to death. Most deaths were the smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
That's what
the
happened.
ones that I think the ones that burned to death were the ones that
On
were
the
still in the
casino floor.
casino,
Yeah, the
and
casino
you could
floor.
literally see him like pressing and it just went.
Well, there was supposedly I had heard, and just recently too, I had heard the ones on the floor. It was like a big fireball that happened.
Yeah, it was a backdraft.
It was a backdraft.
Yeah, someone I think
That's
opened
what
the front
yeah.
door
And
and
all
it just
that.
went
Yeah.
straight through the casino.
For the hotel area, it was a smoke inhalation.
Yeah.
And when they were trying to get down, they couldn't
They-
get down because the smoke was too thick.
Because
Yeah.
smoke rises.
And the way they built it, they didn't ventilate it well
God.
enough. So these
like a
people, so they
trap.
I
had
would have
people
been
that were.
busting fucking windows
Right.
and shit,
Right.
right?
Just a few people that did jump out of the window, not many, not like it wasn't like, the
Twin
9/11
Towers,
or
yeah.
the Twin Towers thing.
No, they just
but it was a
broke
few,
windows.
quite a few, because they just didn't want to deal with it, and it's anyway.
He's like, ah,
yeah,
fuck
exactly.
it.
So, this stuff that's seen by everybody, hotel guests, the hotel staff alone, everything. They've even had like paranormal things. I'm sure they have gone in. Again, it's only at the North Tower because the new tower is not part of it, and it's in the casino floor. Casino
Yeah.
floor is still the original casino floor where they have.
Do they have the same carpet?
Right?
No,
It was like,
dude. Oh man, could you
the
imagine the
scorch marks
smell?
and, like,
Fucking burnt body and stuff on the carpet.
So one of the big things is the smell of smoke. And when I first heard that, I'm like, well, yeah, it's cigarette smoke.
But you're in a fucking casino. Man.
But what I'm getting at when they say
Fire
smell,
smoke?
it's fire smoke, which is different than cigarette smoke.
Yeah, way
so it's that
different.
thick, really burning plastic kind of smoke that I think. So it's a different smoke than cigarette. At first, I'm like, yeah, it's a casino. It's fucking. I go, no, it's
Yeah.
a different. I think there's a big difference between a cigarette smoke
Like
and
electrical
know
smoke.
what fire smoke
fire
is.
smoke.
Yeah.
Exactly. They have disembodied sounds of distress of people calling out for help, or just kind of weird sounds that shouldn't be there, like people, needing help. Basically, they have a lot. Shadowy figures, which I hate. I hate shadowy figures. I don't know what it is. I mean,
Nope.
not that I'm crazy about ghosts, but at least ghosts you can see a person. When it's a shadowy thing, I'm like,
Right.
I'm
I'm
out
out.
here. Exactly.
Could you imagine you okay? This is a fucked up scenario. Can you imagine you go downstairs, you get fucked up, gambled, come back upstairs, you're in your room, and you help me, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you go,
right.
you go, how can I help you? And you spend like an hour trying to talk to a ghost, and it keeps saying help me. And you're like, I'm too drunk for this.
I got way too drunk for this.
Or better yet, you go with a buddy who does that, and then you set up like a Syria hidden, and you say, when he comes in, I want you to say help me. To mess with him.
You hear that? Yeah, you hear that? No, I don't hear anything.
that's funny.
What's going on with you?
So these the shadowy figures and actually full body apparitions happen basically more in the hotel area. There are some kind of like on the casino floor where it's basically full body apparitions, but the shadowy stuff kind of happens up there. Phantom touches and cold spots. Actually, the cold spots are always great. And it's always not. If you ever watch like ghost hunting shows, it's kind of like a regulated area, kind of like a little ball area of a cold spot, you know. And it's usually nothing. Right. But
that one in the casino.
Casino AFC stuff. I get that. Phantom touches. People feeling like they're getting touched in certain areas. Like, that's some of this stuff is kind of, it seems like it could be explainable, but
or it's just a pervert.
Then again, when exactly. Then again, when some of that stuff happens to you, and then you feel it, and then you. Especially if you look around and you're trying to discern what it could be, and exactly, you can get, and I get some of that. We always have stuff about elevator anomalies, which I'm not going to talk about because elevators are, especially when the casinos are old, they malfunction a lot.
Dude, our elevators suck too.
So there are people, and I want to bring that up because people are like, I push a floor when somewhere. I was like, these elevators are old. They get used so much that happens. It's just a malfunction.
Sometimes they're also on like a set thing. So if there's 3 elevators, they're supposed to be on 3 different floors.
Yeah.
So it might not even register that you press the button.
Right, exactly.
It might just be
adjusting
goes somewhere.
Exactly. Lingering emotional energy. And this is interesting. So you go in places of the North Tower and suddenly you get an intense residue of like a fear or sadness or something just out of nowhere. You're like, what the fuck? Like you just started getting like. So that's. Okay. But that makes sense because that's almost like a residual effect of a tragic event, basically.
Or did you just lose all your money?
That maybe.
And you're like, dude, I gotta go home.
And it suddenly hits you.
Yeah, you're like, dude, I have to go home and tell my wife why I emptied the bank account.
She's gonna beat my ass.
Very fearful.
So before we go into the next one of the big stories coming up on the casino floor, people that when something happens in a casino and people are gambling, they're so attached to machines. So I worked at a long time ago with the Palace Station Casino, which was just off the strip, and we had the roof cave in one time. It was raining. It was super raining.
That. Yeah,
it was raining,
I do remember
and I was working graveyard, and that means it was late at night. This is about 2 or 3 in the morning.
That was in the
and
pit,
it was
right?
just it was raining so hard. Yeah, it was just one of those. Everyone like 20 years, we have just a torrential rain, and so
like feet, not inches.
The way at the time the Palace Station has been redone now, the ceilings are flat, and the amount of rain it couldn't get it.
It
off,
had no drainage.
There's no drain. The drainage fast enough to do that. It did have it, but not fast enough. We're in the big, huge middle of the pit, which or the table games we usually call the pit. The ceiling caved in, not all the way, but it kind of. So it's up. It kind of wrenched in like this.
Yeah, like bowed. Yeah.
And then it just
all
the rain came in.
So being there, I remember hearing a big old wrenching sound. And the lights flickered, and all the lights went off, and all the emergency lights going on. I was working at the time. And everybody starts running out. So I was at the bar kind of down the way a little bit, and we can see where the thing had kind of opened up a little bit. Or wait, no, not at the time. We didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
We just see people panicking. And I was a bar back at the time, and I was with the bartender, another young guy, and people are yelling, "The roof is caving in!" So we kind of looked over there. We could see a little bit like opening in there where it shouldn't be. And people start running, and I looked at the guy. His name was Kevin. I go, Kevin. I go, I'm about to start running out. You could feel the panic.
Yeah,
I wasn't panicking.
That's
It's a weird wave of panic that just goes. At first, when I saw it, I'm like, oh shit, that sucks. And then people start getting scared, and it was like a wave of panic. He goes, oh yo, no, he goes, stay steady, just hold on here. And people are running, so we finally, anyways.
We're gonna be fine.
Yeah, before we get more into this, so the bottom thing is just that nothing bad happened. They evacuated everything. That's all that happened.
No one even got hurt out of that, right?
No, nobody got hurt. They evacuated out because they didn't know the whole thing was going to come down.
Yeah.
So
very well could have.
So saying this, there were, and I remember seeing one. There were security people and slot people trying to pull people off the machines. People like, and I had people in our bar like, I have money.
Told me that.
I have money in the machine. They're like, forget the money. You'll get your damn money. Let's get out. We don't know if this damn thing's going to come down.
They're like, I'll be fine.
There was security guards saying that they had to physically pull people off the
machine. They had to
machine.
restrain them and get them out.
So I told that story to tell this story at Bally's. So Bally's, supposedly the same thing happened. So the fire was happening. They're trying to get people out. They're telling people, get out. I don't want to leave my machine. I don't want to leave. So the security and slot people, they're like, oh, fine, I'm out of here.
And then that fireball came through.
And there was another one. I was hearing another podcast. The same thing happened with the dealer. The dealer's trying to get these ladies off this blackjack table. They didn't want to move. He's like, well, I'm leaving. I mean,
I'm not staying
Who's
for you.
dealing?
I'll send somebody for you. And before you get back, that
Don't touch the
fireball,
cars.
that backdraft just barbecued everybody.
Yeah.
Don't touch the chips.
One of the apparitions supposed to see in a casino floor is people see this lady, elderly woman, playing two machines at once. You know, sometimes people have two machines.
Yeah.
They see her, and then they start looking at her closer. It looks like she's on fire, basically, like her clothes are aflame. And when they try to go up to acknowledge her, she just kind of disappears. Now, it didn't say exactly where it is on the floor and everything, but it's on there. And at first I thought, no, but then when I remembered that story about people not leaving.
Yeah, that makes sense.
When we thought the whole ceiling was going to cave in, nobody knew it was going to. We thought the whole ceiling was going to cave in.
Yeah.
These
And
people,
people still wanna
I
stay.
don't care if you had $20,000 in that fucking machine. What's it going to help you?
I'm out.
If you're squashed.
I'm out.
Right.
Can you
Because if
imagine
we
being
can get
like
you
playing a
out.
machine and all of a sudden she just shows up next to you?
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're just like,
Right.
okay.
Oh yeah.
You just like a little
So-
kind of acknowledgement.
Yeah, right.
You're
And
just
saying that the lure of gambling and money is a strong pull for some people, and even in the face of possible death, they
Well,
they'll stand still and just
They will be like, nope.
no.
yeah, I guess it's not worth it.
This
it's
is happening,
really not
whether you
exactly.
want it or
But then
not.
again, if somebody that's their life savings, they don't want to pull. I'm like, but still, you know, you're not going to have a life to save.
They don't
And-
think that way though.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, so she's the the burning ghost lady, that plays the machine that they see here. It's the story. I don't know how often it happens, but it's persisted enough that it still comes
It's
up today
around.
when you look around. Exactly.
She shows up. She goes to press your button. You're like, get the burn your ass again.
Yeah. And so
Because if
the-
she hits the button, she wins. I can't give it to bitch.
No.
so as it is now, Bally's did take over around 1986, and it's MGM moved down the street and everything, and it was fully renovated. Like I was there and everything. People were like, "Oh, I go in there, it's so spooky." I've been to Bally's,
No,
probably not
Bally's
for
is-
years.
No.
It's been years.
I've never
since
seen spooky. We stayed in that hotel, and it was
not
like
bad at all.
84. I didn't. I was even a kid. I didn't know it wasn't
Yeah,
spooky.
it's
at all.
not bad at all.
It's fine. So, but I'm sure there's certain times, hauntings are not always on beck and call, and you can't time
Right.
it like, okay, it's 11:01 starting
Ghost
now.
hour.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So
Ghost
but,
hour.
I never felt
3
anything
a.m.
weird there. Not that I spent a whole bunch of time there, but
You
especially
spend enough to where
time.
you might feel
Yeah,
it.
right, exactly. But then again, we're not people who work there. It'd be interesting to get people who actually work there, housekeeping.
If they had some stories,
some
I'd be
stuff
like,
with them.
"Yeah,
So you never know.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, so that was the Bally's MGM connection there.
All right.
Yeah. Chris, what we got, brother?
Well, I've got. What is it? The Flamingo. So the Flamingo was.
I've heard some stories.
Yeah, I was like
One of the
apparently
older casinos too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the few.
Yeah, they haven't knocked down yet.
1946. So yeah, it was like with Bugsy Siegel. So
Yeah.
that was from the original, like all the.
Yes.
That's a part of the whole mall gang
mob,
and all that.
yeah.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
mob and all that jazz. So they've got reports of people because when he passed away, he died. I think he died in a California villa.
Okay.
But he was murdered. And they never caught the guy that did it, and now they see his apparition around. There's like a mural inside the Flamingo that says Bugsy Siegel, blah blah.
Yeah.
And they say that you see him around
Oh,
there
really? That's
constantly
crazy.
at the Flamingo.
He's just
So it was
walking
like-
around.
Yeah.
Because he died and they never found his killer. So they were like, he's just kind
So
of.
you think he's searching?
Maybe
Right,
that's
he's still-
that's
he's
I know,
like-
man.
he goes, I
Unfinished
know this
business.
motherfucker
He's
is
down
here
here.
somewhere.
He's like, I know.
I'm
this
gonna
guy.
get you.
Maybe he knows who it is. You never know. I mean,
I'm sure he does. Someone killed him.
It's like he's right there. Like before, it's like right there.
You see him with a knife all the time.
And the mob, especially like with the book that I just did, it talks about how those guys they moved out of that style of doing the casinos, and they started doing real estate and getting judges and cops in their pocket and doing
okay.
the like Ponzi schemes. So
Yeah.
I was like, those guys are probably still don't murder me. Sorry, I was like, I don't want to get away. No.
Well, they got run out of the casinos from what was it
The gaming board?
Yeah, gaming board.
the game board.
Yeah, when
'Cause
they
they
didn't
were
want
like,
to pay.
they
Yeah.
were like, all right, we see what you're doing.
Yeah.
So they're like, fine, we'll move over to this stuff.
We'll do
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
You're not there
We'll
yet.
go do real estate and
Yeah.
steal people's stuff. It was like, yeah, that's one of them. I haven't really heard of too much of that place myself.
I'm sure there's
I
stuff
haven't
happens
either.
there. Yeah,
Like-
I'm sure being an old place, I'm sure there's kind of voices and
Since so many
all
people
these
don't.
casinos.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
But Bugsy, all right.
I did hear about the Bugsy ghost that kind of go around. I think I also heard out in the pool area. There's supposed to be an apparition in the pool area too.
I would,
there
yeah,
is.
I've been drunk out of that pool area a couple times. I didn't see anything.
I saw like 4 of everybody.
I might have been talking to
Yeah,
the ghost.
exactly.
Yeah, right.
You
You're
never
like,
know.
bro, this guy was great. I don't know.
Remember what other casino we got, brother?
You know what? And my girl actually worked there for a while. The Venetian.
Okay.
Now, I'll say this: the Venetian has had some horrible crimes in it.
Yeah.
Just in the past 5 years.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
famous one is Tupac Shakur. He got killed near
Yeah.
that area.
Yeah.
People see him in the Venetian and
crazy.
in the street area.
Yeah. Where it was happening.
Yeah.
was that Koval and Flamingo?
Yeah,
yeah.
this one, yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen Tupac walk. Well, you know, I mean, there's so many impersonators.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Might-
how do you know if he's a real
he's a
Tupac?
real
You know what I
Tupac.
mean?
Just go and touch him.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
dude. Sorry.
That's assault. You're punishing.
Damn it. When you go through, you're like, oh,
But,
sorry,
yeah,
Mr.
like-
Tupac.
Like, oh my god.
Yeah, I didn't think about it, but yeah, like I know, which it was funny because the video popped up, and this happened 5 years ago. 2 hookers took this guy back to the room.
That guy.
What were they doing? What were they doing with him?
Well, he
Okay.
thought they were supposed to fuck, and
And
they
then-
ended up stabbing him and robbing
his money.
him.
And took his stuff.
They took off. He came wandering back down in the casino, just like gutted.
Yeah.
And my girl actually, it was like her second night at work,
No
my
shit.
God.
and
Yeah.
she didn't know.
Yeah.
He ended up dying.
Yep.
So I think they got the girls.
I heard he was,
I saw
when he came
that,
down,
yeah.
he said, that was nothing like Pretty Woman. And he
right.
Yeah,
that was nothing like it. Oh.
what was the other one? I knew a guy that worked security on the strip, private security, and he was in Venetian too. And his first night on the gig, someone went in one of the bathrooms and fucking blew their brains out.
Jeez, Louise.
So like things like that happen
Yeah.
constantly, and I've heard multiple stories about this.
A lot of suicide that
suicide.
that
Just
you hear in
dark
stories.
energy,
And
man.
that brought up one happened at the old casino I was working too. Somebody in the Keno room did it. And
Yeah.
when I came in the morning, and
Keno room.
the bartender, graveyard girl, because that room was right next to her, she saw it happen. I'm like, "Are you all right?" She's like, "I just want to go home." I'm like, "Oh, okay." yeah,
right.
Can I
I
just
was
go
like,
home?
"Wow, exactly." So
I'm surprised they didn't pull her.
yeah, I think there was no. Yeah, they should have just
They
shut the
should
bar
have
down.
just shut her down.
They shut the
and
bar.
then,
Yeah,
like,
I
hey,
don't-
like,
Yeah.
she's not serving any.
I think
drinks
sometimes
right
there's not always a.
You could go back to work after
Could you
that.
see?
You're
She's
like,
like,
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised because
Yeah,
there's
right.
not always a beverage manager, but there's always some manager on duty. They
To
should have
pull,
just
like,
they should have been like
security
just
should
go
have
home.
pulled her.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something.
Yeah,
Something.
exactly.
But yeah, like so, I didn't think about it, but when I heard the Tupac thing, I was like laughing. I was like, oh fuck, fucking
Yeah.
Tupac walking
Yeah.
around in Venetian.
That'd be weird.
Walk around.
And Venetian is, I mean, it is an older casino, but it's not like one of the originals. I mean, it was
No,
built in
it's-
the 90s, right?
I think 90s,
Yeah,
96.
it's
something
about
like
96, somewhere around there. But so I mean, and it's 30 something years ago now,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. But I mean,
But I mean, like, it had a lot of trauma in that building.
oh, I'm sure it has. Yeah,
So even though it's a relatively young building,
yeah.
still
yeah.
a lot of shit is happening there.
Yeah.
yeah, when I worked there was a lot of hookers.
A lot of them are.
He had
lot.
to,
So
he
if
had
you're
to
looking
bet
for
every
hookers-
single one of those hookers. You had to vet them. Exactly.
No.
So if
I
you're
actually
looking for
have some
hookers,
funny
you know where to
stories
go.
from. Yeah, I was like, I had
Well,
some
they're-
funny
they're
stories
actually
from
pretty
them.
hilarious.
Dude, they're
You didn't get any of the
hilarious.
stabby
Oh my
ones,
God.
luckily,
Yeah.
but yes, exactly. That's right.
I was like, that's a totally different topic. But I was like, I
have
got
to
some
tell
stories.
security,
I was
like,
bro.
yeah, she's one of the hookers. Where's the next one?
Yeah, she's a good one.
No, because then she would come over because she would always be sitting at the bar and the security just walk up and just stand there and she'd be like, "Really, motherfucker? Really? I know. Let me get my money out of my damn machine." And I was like, oh, since they just know her, sure. Like,
She's like,
riddled
I'm
with
not even
diseases.
working right now. I'm just trying to drink.
Yeah.
she's like, "I'm just trying to have a drink right now." She's like, "I'm not even on the clock."
All right, what else you got?
All right, so I got the Link Hotel, which was
Oh, yeah.
formerly Imperial Palace.
Oh, yeah.
Now, Imperial
Imperial
Palace has
Palace.
been there for a while. I think Imperial Palace opened
was-
up since 1979, which was.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it was that. I say recent, 50 years ago, but I thought it was
I
one
was
of the ones that
older.
was kind of like
I
in the
thought, like,
60s.
yeah,
you
60s.
know,
I thought so,
but-
too.
But it was
60s, too.
79
I
they
was like,
opened up.
dude.
Right.
It was an Asian theme hotel at the time. It comes up. So for this one, sorry about that. So now it changed over to the Link Hotel in 2014. Looks like it was changed
That's when they
over.
built the whole link,
Right.
the big
The
Ferris
big-
wheel.
big
Ferris
They
wheel,
changed
yeah. So
that
before
whole
then, it was just
area.
it was
All
the
that
whole
shit, yeah.
and what was good about Imperial Palace, it was kind of a cool little
Standalone
Asian thing,
thing,
yeah,
yeah.
standalone thing. I remember them having the guy who owned it was what's his name, Ralph Ingolstead. He had
Oh
an
my
extensive,
God, Ralph
Ingolstead.
yeah, he had an extensive motor automobile
Collection down
Collection.
there.
He had a
that's
museum.
right.
We went there a
Had
couple
the-
times. So
the
he
car
even had
museum.
like Hitler's a car that had bullet things.
How
His
the fuck did
bulletproof
he get
car.
that?
He had just all these old cars. It was a very good car collection. I remember we went there a couple times and stuff. But I remember, you guys remember, towards the end, before he went out, I forget what it was. They found that he had a secret museum, a bunch of Nazi stuff.
Yeah. Do you remember his house? How crazy that fucking house was?
Yes. Yeah, I remember his house out
God
there. Yeah,
damn.
it was weird.
Really?
His
yeah.
house, like you drove by the house, you couldn't even get in it, but you drove by it. It was just some of the most crazy things.
He was
you've
into
ever
very
seen.
artistic stuff. But in the
I'll show
know,
you pictures when we're done
Right,
with this.
yeah,
It's,
right.
it's fucking so weird.
Right.
I believe he had Nazi memorabilia down there.
He
Right?
did,
You're like,
and,
it
and
looks like
and people were like, "Well, what the fuck, dude?" He goes, "Oh, it was just it's just for collection. It's
sure.
just
Was there
interesting
any American stuff
It's
down
just-
there either?
Right? You're like,
But it wasn't
what you
just the war
collecting?
room; it was also an occult room. Okay,
He was a Nazi.
It had Nazi memorabilia where reportedly held Hitler's birthday celebrations. A former manager claimed to have witnessed a disturbing scene where the room was involved in cloaked figures chanting and all this stuff about with Hitler. And later he denounced Hitler, saying, "Look, it's just a collection."
We were
it's
just
stuff."
having
And-
fun.
We were just,
Yeah.
there's a lot of drinks,
Yeah, and he tried to
throw on some cloaks.
distance
Cocaine's
himself
a hell
from
of a
that.
drug.
Cocaine is a
Yeah,
hell of a drug, yeah.
there we go. Exactly. So obviously that place is another older casino now, and it's being the link. So
Didn't they remodel the whole thing though?
they did, but the building is still the original building.
still
but
the
it's
bare
still,
bones, yeah.
there's still the bare bones is still there. So I mean, we have hotel staff, geez Louise, and guests who come in and they have a suite up on one of the higher levels. Now, you can't get exactly which floor or which room number it is, but it's a higher one which has a good view. And what happens here, they call this the Japanese bride suite. So supposedly,
I'll stay in that.
Yeah,
Right.
So supposedly,
That's not bad.
back whenever there was a young Japanese bride that took her life for
Oh.
whatever the reasons were. I don't know if the husband disappeared or
Arranged
left her or
marriage.
arranged marriage. Thank you.
Arranged marriage.
Arranged
An
Arranged marriage. Exactly. A deranged marriage. Right, exactly. Right.
Could be.
So the sightings are kind of like seeing glimpses of her in the white kimono, appearing near the bed or the window. The cold spots again, dropping temperature within the suite, like a chill. It's basically not like a cold from a AC unit. It's like a
No,
sudden
it's
chill.
like a real, like a
Yeah.
just in a very designated spot.
Disembodied sounds with reports of soft sobbing, faint whispers, sometimes described like it sounding a little Japanese, like the Japanese sound to it. I would like.
Don't
I'd be
do it.
interested to find out. I'd be. No,
like, don't do it.
No, I'm not going to do it.
I was thinking Team America World Police. Okay, first off.
I'm thinking South Park.
Yeah,
Don't do
the
it.
same.
I'm not gonna.
Me too.
I'm not
I was
gonna.
like,
I'm not gonna try to do it.
Rick Barron.
Don't try to do it.
Yeah, like, don't-
Yeah. And stuff being moved around, small objects being slightly moved or displaced overnight. So and I would like to know exactly where. I'm sure if you went in there and asked somebody, the workers, they'll
sure.
tell you.
I'll stay in that room.
It sounds interesting, but yeah. So
It's not like she's harmful or anything.
other stuff, and some of the other rooms are like housekeeping and staff entered unoccupied rooms and report hear like faint sounds coming from the room. Even before they open the door, they hear sounds.
Like people are in there or
and they
something
open
like
up
that.
and there's nothing there. That could be residual. They hear knocking or soft whispering or talking. Again, this doesn't always mean a ghost. It could be residual stuff. It could be just stuff because
So is she nice enough to at least hang your clothes?
I don't think so.
If she's gonna
Right,
haunt the room,
right,
I mean,
I
come
don't
on,
know.
like, if I have to put up with your crying and your moaning and
Right,
like,
exactly.
can you just hang my clothes up?
I got an important meeting in the morning. Could you kind of keep it down?
Keep
Could you
it
go in
down.
the bathroom
Yeah.
and kind of cry?
Turn the radio on, something.
Right.
3 a.m. wake up call. no, I didn't want that. I didn't ask for that shit.
So yeah, so in all the other rooms, obviously they always hear and feel stuff in other rooms. Again, as we talked about, it sounds about right because these
Japanese
it's
come
been
out.
around, or not even but just in rooms in general. You just stuff records or just stuff kind of imprints
Well, okay,
on it.
I want to know this: is it stuff they think they're hearing, or are people just like? Because sometimes those walls are thin,
Yes.
and you can hear
Right.
some moaning.
Yeah. Oh, you
happening.
hear some moaning.
Well, I would pretty sure if they heard stuff, they would know there's people in other rooms. This is usually when hotel staff's in there,
Everyone moans
the other rooms.
different.
The other rooms are usually empty on that room. It's when the staff goes in and
So what if
not always.
what if the staff are fucking with them?
Maybe. I don't know.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah?
it is.
You got some
Maybe.
deranged-
Get some-
you got some-
exactly.
You got some
Yeah.
fucked up security guard that's like, I got a 10-minute break.
Here's an interesting one. People feel and we have like they're being watched, and a lot of their
This
lives.
is the
So
most surveillance city in the world.
guests
You're
describe
always being
persistent
You're
and
always being watched.
unsettling feeling that they're being watched, even alone in the hallway. I get that, but I think they're more like.
watched. Lay
You're
off
saying
the
like a
There's a
meth.
different feeling when you have somebody in person watching than a video recording.
Yeah, lay off
watching.
the meth.
Right. A strong
all I'm gonna say.
intuitive sense of being watched can lead to feelings of anxiety and discomfort. The anxiety one is
Discomfort.
interesting. They say a lot of the hauntings sometimes it can emanate in anxiety in a person. Feeling, which
yeah.
because anxiety, all it is pent up energy.
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
what's
something
giving
I
you
experienced
anxiety.
was I
Panic
had a
and stuff like that.
I had a panic attack at a haunted hotel we were at one time, and I'd
shit.
never had one before
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
And when I
This is
heard about
just-
that, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. I'm like,
Yeah.
where the hell did this come
That
from?
does make
Right.
sense.
So let's see, what other? There was another. Yeah, we talked about the war room again with the elevator stuff. I'm not going with the elevators. It's always
No.
I know. Whenever I see
And
the
there
elevator stuff,
isn't
I'm like,
a 13th floor on any hotel ever.
Any hotel.
in
which is
Vegas.
weird and kind of
No,
silly to me.
well,
yeah.
no, actually. So this is one thing.
Yes.
In Venetian,
Yeah.
There is a 13th floor because
Okay.
they build it. It's fucking 13th floor.
Yeah.
It's actually a black site for the CIA, NSA, and Homeland Security when
Okay.
terrorists come into try to do like plots here.
No.
Right.
So they've got like a central office.
Yeah,
kind of
like
thing
some
going
guy
on, yeah.
was a cabbie. He used to be a soldier. 2 guys got in his car. They were talking about soft targets.
Right.
And he got out, and he was at Venetian, and they got out. He let him go. He got out. He went up to the front desk, and he goes, "You have 2 terrorists in your building right now."
Really?
Damn.
The guy that I told you was a private security.
Yeah.
He got to handle some of that. They kept those guys for 2 weeks in that 13th floor while they were being interrogated. So there is a 13th floor. You just might not want to go in it
Right.
because you might not come out.
Because you ain't gonna come out.
Yeah.
So there was another story here, and I had to look at my phone again. Room 3909. There was a guy complaining.
3909.
Yeah, and at the link, there was a man hovering over the bed. His figure had a blank
that's
stare,
interesting.
and the guest fiance was frozen with fear. They switched rooms the next day.
So
I
two
don't
people
know.
saw it.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how
Interesting.
often. It's just a one story about that 39, and I think
Okay.
I remember saw the little story on TripAdvisor. You know, when people put their little stories, she's all, "I would never stay in the room. Don't stay in room 3909."
That's it.
nice.
I'm gonna go stay in 3909. They won't give
So
me the.
it was
the
an
Japanese
advertisement to,
Komodo.
"Hey, come stay in room 3909." Exactly, but
Watch,
yeah.
it's like the nicest suite.
Right,
It's like,
probably
it's like
is, that's right.
5,000 a
Nobody
night.
uses it.
So if you go into a really nice suite, is it okay for you to go and go, "Oh, sweet"?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
just
think
making
so.
sure. All right, gotcha.
I think that's fair game.
All right, that's enough for me being stupid and stuff. All right, yeah. So that's a lot of the stuff there was at the link. I'm sure there's other stuff going on. There's some of just the main stories that they had going on over there. Let's move on to the next casino, Mr. Chris. What we got, buddy?
Yeah, the other one is going to
next
be
place.
the Westgate.
Which was formerly the
Formerly
Hilton,
Hilton,
right?
yeah.
All right.
It used to be the Hilton.
So what's so famous about the Hilton, buddy?
So, well, this one apparently, the Elvis used to. Oh, my bad. I was like, Elvis used to perform there. I guess he did 837 shows from 1969 to 1976.
That's a
So
lot.
I did the math, and that's almost 2 to 3 shows a week. I'm
Yeah.
like, wow,
That's a
like,
lot.
That's ridiculous.
Well,
That's definitely a residency.
Like,
Yeah,
as
exactly.
a residency, like,
Yeah.
dang, he did that for that long.
It's a lot of
And-
jumpsuits for him too.
Yeah,
Blink.
right. That's a lot of fried.
He wore the
with
same
banana.
one the whole time, never washed.
to the whole show.
I'm pretty sure he just took it off and gave it to a fan.
Yeah, right. He's like,
And
"Here
they
you
got
go."
him a new one.
He took it off and he just hung it outside the window for it to let it air
Just
out
let it
and
dry.
just put that bad boy back on.
You know why? Because I'm the king. That's why. Fucking, but he apparently, yeah, they when he passed away, now people still see him constantly at the Flamingos or at the
He
Westgate.
spent some
Like,
time there, so that
Yeah, right. He spent
Yeah.
that many. I mean, we talked
That'll be
about you
weird.
being there that long.
Yeah.
like you've
Imprint on
days
there.
basically just imprinted.
But shit, he was back in the Rat Pack days and all that. Like shit, that must
especially
have
with all
been
the
fun.
stuff he did, all the
Yeah.
drugs and all the partying he did
Yeah.
back
All the
then,
women.
and all the women he
Oh,
had.
yeah.
Exactly. So yeah.
And Vegas got a lot.
So would
of
you
that.
see the ghost of Elvis? Do you see the fat Elvis or the young Elvis?
That's what I was wondering too. I'm like, which Elvis?
I'm
you
thinking
see?
young.
Yeah, right.
Fat,
I would hope so.
Fat Elvis was more towards the end of his career. He was
Right, but
I
that's what I mean. That's when he
young,
died. So I
in-shape
wonder.
career.
Hopefully he comes back as young
As
Elvis.
the young sexy Elvis.
How
you come back
fuck
as Ghost
would he
or Fat
be if
Elvis?
he, like right before he died? That's how he comes back as.
Poor Elvis.
Well, do you get to choose? Like, is it like the Matrix where you choose? Like, I want to look this
Dude,
way.
if I'm dying
Right.
and I come back, I want to be the best shape of my life.
Right?
I choose
Yeah,
Fat
period.
Elvis.
Damn it!
Elvis is like, damn it, man. Oh. Give him
No
somebody
more
a
for the
peanut
show.
butter sandwich.
Give me another one, because I'm a king.
Peanut butter banana. That's the old joke.
Dude, that
That's what he
sounds
did.
disgusting.
Was fried peanut butter.
Sorry,
and,
the old joke. Well, what would Elvis say if he was alive today? Somebody dig me up. Somebody dig me up, please. Okay, I'm sorry. Go right
Fine,
ahead.
man. But they say Elvis isn't dead.
No, but he's buried.
There's
so
people that
that's a
say he's
little
not
bit of
dead
a
though,
problem.
man.
Yeah.
They said he was an alien.
Tupac's still alive. Everybody's still alive.
Tupac, hey,
Anyway,
Tupac's
sorry.
still putting fucking albums
Right.
out. Elvis
Right.
isn't.
There we go.
Michael Jackson's around here somewhere.
Sorry, we derailed that really quick. Well, you bring
No.
up Elvis, it happens.
Yeah,
Hey,
well.
Yeah. So they see Elvis there. That would be a weird ghost sighting of all things.
Do they
to
have a
see
lot
Elvis.
of shit? When was the last time I've been in that hotel? Do they have a lot of impersonators for Elvis?
It did. I'm not sure. The Legends one used to be at the Imperial Palace. And
Yeah.
Okay.
But they
And I've seen a lot
Because
of
how
shows
funny
that
would that
walk
be?
around
Like you see
that.
like 2-3 impersonators, and then
Yeah.
like actual Elvis walking by, and you're like,
Yeah.
"Damn,
Like-
that's a good Elvis."
You're like, that
It's like,
Elvis
man,
is
that's
a
a
really good
Elvis.
Elvis. Holy
Like,
shit!
damn.
Exactly. Like,
Because
wow.
I've seen on this trip many years, like people just come in, they dress like Elvis all the time.
We have
And you're just like,
conventions
yeah.
for Elvis. We
Yeah.
have shows for Elvis.
Yeah.
you
You're just
know.
like, you just gonna walk around looking like that all the
Oh,
time?
yeah.
Okay.
A lot of casinos in the
Hands
strip.
down.
There's a lot of people that just dress like anything. You walk in, and you're like, Alrighty then. Yeah. Okay.
There was one guy that looked like Guy Fieri. Like, he had the fire shirt and everything and the highlights. And I was like, this
what a
is
look
okay.
to go for.
I know. I was like,
Vegas.
all right. He's a nice guy, but I was like, that's an interesting look with the blonde and the highlights and the
he
goatee.
really likes cooking.
Yeah,
That's all I can
right.
tell you. He really likes cooking.
He just really likes it. I'm like, all right.
Maybe he thought he could walk into the restaurant and they would just act like he's him. And he'd be like,
Be like,
yeah,
"Hey,
yeah,
give him
yeah,
free
do
food."
that and do this and give me some free food.
They're like,
Would
yeah,
that work-
give him free food, man.
Would that work at a Wendy's if you look like the Wendy lady too? And you just walk
Yeah,
in
right.
like
Isn't that like a weird story?
That was a carrot
for the
top
Wendy's.
I have no idea.
She was
I
like
think
the
I remember
daughter
that.
of the person or some shit like that.
I don't know. Yeah, she was daughter of Dave Thomas.
Daughter of Dave
Yeah.
Thomas, yeah.
Anyways, before we get do
That's
well
a
on
creepy
that.
child.
Yeah, exactly. What other place do we have there?
All right, this one hits home for me.
All right.
So I had an uncle named Nicky Blair. He was like in Hollywood and did all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
He came out to Vegas and he decided to open a restaurant.
Okay.
So where Del Frisco's is, right off of Paradise and Sands, that used to be called Nicky Blair's.
It's a restaurant, right?
A restaurant.
Gotcha.
He loved the restaurant. Like that was his
That's his
world
baby,
for a
huh?
while.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his
All right.
baby. He when he passed, the people that ran Nicky's would talk to us when we would go in there, and he'd be like, "Yeah, you know, Nicky's still here." And we look at him like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He's
Right.
like, "Yeah, Nicky's still here. Nicky died 2 years ago." He's like, "No,
Right.
no.
He's just right there.
Nicky's here. He flicks lights on and off. He fucking moves things. Like things go missing.
Yeah.
You can hear kind of voices every once in a while. But the main one was the flicking of the lights.
Yeah.
And he said when Nicky was alive, I think it was like a server or something forgot to turn the lights off one night.
Yep.
And Nicky came in and he goes, "This is how you turn the lights on and off." And
That's funny.
That's how the lights will flicker.
Yeah.
And he's like, Nicky's throwing a fit. And I'm kind of wondering if like Del Frisco's has the same.
Be interesting to go and ask him and talk about
Yeah,
that.
I haven't been in there in a while, but I think
that would be cool.
I'm sure he's still there flicking lights on and off.
This is
telling
my
people-
place. Maybe
Yeah.
Turn the damn lights
Yeah,
on.
but it was cool. Like it was, a little piece of family history right there.
Yeah, well, that's cool. So that's over at Del Frisco's. So
Yeah, Del Frisco's.
You
Not
guys-
the one in Aria, the one off of Paradise and Sands. That
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of cool. So I want to touch on one that, again, it didn't always have to be all casinos. We got one here, kind of up, not really in Las Vegas. I'm chill a little bit. It's up in Good Springs, Nevada. It's the Pioneer Saloon.
Pioneer.
Dude,
Saloon.
I've gone out there dirt biking.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah. And there's that
They
tours
still
out
have
there.
the
which-
bullet holes and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they have tours out there, and I haven't done yet. But it's funny. Before we decided to do this episode, I had a couple that comes in. One of our out of town couples come in, and they just went on that tour, and we talked about it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's up in Good Springs. So it's not too far.
It's like
probably
30 minutes.
30 minutes from here.
maybe.
Yeah, it's very close.
It's on the way to
this-
Sandy Valley.
One of the original
Yeah.
saloons built in Nevada, right? It was
Yeah,
built in
it was-
1913. It was supposed to be at the time a rough and tumble kind
and
of
they
place.
they added on to the building, so they have the original, and then they built a new bar next to it now too.
I'll put pictures here
that's-
so you
yeah.
can
Yeah.
see. So it was supposed to be a kind of a rough place when it first opened, but as it gone on and Vegas started building up, it kind of chilled out. As the old West thing started kind of dying away, it kind of chilled out a little bit.
Let's just say a lot of people got shot there.
Well, there was and we'll go into that, but one of the main
like there was a
things
lot
on there in 1942, it was a place where the famous actor Clark Gable had waited news with his wife, Carol Lombard, whose plane tragically crashed on the nearby Potosi Mountain. He stayed at that place because it had it was also
Like a
a
hotel kinda, yeah.
waiting on news to hear what happened to her, basically. I'm not sure exactly. That's what, everywhere I read, that's
they had
what.
phones out there.
I don't know if they had phones. I think if they did, or he was just waiting for somebody to come tell him. They knew he was there. He was waiting for anything about.
That's where he was hiding.
So I guess when they're looking for the wreckage or something, again, I didn't get the full detail, but that's where he waited. Even in this tour, the people that said that when he was sitting on you can see the seat where he is on the saloon, and there's little imprints of where he would put out his cigarettes on the fucking bar. Where you still see it, yeah, and they kept it that way.
That's interesting.
Supposedly, she's shown there in the room that he stayed at, and I was always thinking like, well, why would she be there? I guess because he was there and he imprinted.
energy found
he
him.
imprinted her energy. Plus, the plane was down close.
Yeah.
It kind of makes sense where the plane went down.
That's
her
romantic.
husband or loving partner was there waiting for her, and he was so worried about her, so it kind of imprinted her on there. So if you think of it that way, it would make a little sense.
That's
Some people are like,
romantic.
why would they be on there?
Yeah.
So
They found each other in the
She's saying
afterlife.
upstairs. Many people have the feeling of sadness and heavy emotion. It makes sense.
I didn't get that at all.
A faint, shimmering apparition of woman can be seen sometimes. Others point at cold spots again. They said the room that he was in was they have a distinct scent of lilies, which was Lombard's favorite flower.
I did hear something about that.
Yeah.
Something about lilies. I remember that.
Right. Obviously, the staff is reported feeling about unseen presence brushing past them, a gentle sigh. Just kind of normal stuff that for buildings that would be there that had a lot of stuff going on.
Melancholy.
Yeah.
Melancholy.
So residual energy would be go from the shooting you talk about. So there was a famous poker game that went awry, and there was a gentleman named Paul Koski who got shot, who was he was blamed for cheating at poker, and they shot him.
I don't think he even cheated.
I don't know if he did or not, but he was playing.
No. I think
Right.
I think they figured it out, and he
That he
didn't
wasn't,
cheat
right.
at all. But the guy wanted
there
the
was
money.
like-
But he
Right.
lost.
That's the
straight
guy who
up.
shot him. That's what he claimed. He
Yeah.
was cheating. So the wall where he was shot at, they kept it. They kept
They
the bullets
still
in there.
have the bullet holes
And
in the wall.
supposedly this gentleman is seen still sitting on that same area or just against that wall.
Did
with
they keep
with
the poker table there?
I'm not even sure.
I forgot.
I haven't been there, but they
I haven't
see
been there in a
sightings
while.
of him being
Same.
there. And another place over, the women's restroom is haunted there.
Yeah.
They see the restrooms. They say it's
I'd haunt that too.
Right, he'd be like,
oh, I wouldn't.
Maybe
The
not.
women's
Actually,
bathroom?
no, never mind.
No,
No,
that's
no, I
disgusting.
take that
Yeah.
back.
But it's actually one of the more
Taco Bell.
active areas. Many women who go in there claim to see a face of a woman in the mirror that's not their own. Described as it a sad or stern-looking figure. They also hear disembodied whispers or females speaking really softly. Sometimes, act them like somebody's trying to talk to them, really quietly. Supposedly, the belief is it's the spirit of a woman named Ruby Hill Barnes who was murdered in the general store and her body brought to the saloon bathroom. So she was murdered across the street at the general store. Then they got her body and they moved it into the bathroom. I guess just to
That's where to keep it.
where to keep it
Until, like, the-
yeah. So
Dang.
obviously there's
storage.
also touches. People feel like they're
Right.
getting
Storage.
touched. Another ghost they have is a little boy in the kitchen. There's stories about this kitchen
heard about
staff
that
seeing a little young boy running around the kitchen and sometimes out into the patio. It's linked to a tragic tale of a child who drowned in an old well located beneath the kitchen. Also, beneath the Pioneer Saloon, there's also empty mine shafts and wells, which could
Yes.
add in
that
to
area
the whole.
is thick
It
with
could
mine
add into
shafts.
the whole residual or the whole haunting stuff, whatever happened in these mines.
See, they
and
should have
stuff.
got that kid a lassie.
They should have.
He would've
right?
been
He would've
fine.
barked, that's right. Maybe even
fine.
a little chihuahua or something.
No, that chihuahua, the coyote would have got
So they
that.
also
right?
hear the fake
Chihuahua.
footsteps and they hear giggling and stuff, which, a little kid giggling when there's no kid there is creepy as shit.
Oh,
right?
hell yeah,
Yeah,
that's
sit in the
creepy.
kitchen, you're like, God damn it, this young kid.
You're
Yeah,
trying to
exactly.
cook. You're like,
right.
shut up already.
So
like,
in
what the
in-
it is going on right
in
now?
the saloon, they do have general kind of unexplained noises. They hear phantom footsteps, clinking of glasses. Always the temperature fluctuation, objects moving on occasion. Objects be reported to shift. The cigar smoke, the cigarette
Yeah.
smoke is fine. Electrical anomalies, the flickering lights. It depends when the lights flicker and how they happen. Like with your father,
like
with your
it was
uncle's
like
place,
a-
it's a
That's it.
It was
specific thing
very
that happened.
specific that when it
Physical
flickered.
sensations, feelings of being touched and pushed, and it makes sense. The place has been there a long time, but it's the Pioneer
Well, I
Saloon.
mean,
they do
look,
have tours out there. You
If-
guys come out.
Yeah,
do a
if you
tour.
want to
I heard
see
it's
what
great.
the Old West, like the dying end of the Old West was like,
Yeah, it's
it's,
Pioneer
it's
Saloon.
kind of a cool place to go.
Everyone says it goes. It's good.
They got
I-
decent food too.
Yeah, that's
decent
what I hear.
food.
I
Good
want
bar.
to. I plan
That
to
was
go out
always our
there.
stop.
I've been planning to want to go out there, and I want to do the tour and stuff. So that was a cool place.
I
out
grew
there.
up. Well, we have like Henderson in Vegas, and then Blue Diamond.
Yeah.
Me and my friends, my cousin and stuff, we would dirt bike from Blue Diamond, and that was on the loop. We go out to Good Springs and then
Yep.
eat, and then
Right.
we'd come back. And it was it was always a fun little time.
That's cool. Yeah,
Good
that's. I
But
mean,
it
why
was
not?
cool to
It's
see like the Old West and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Old school. Yeah.
Chris, we got anything else,
would
buddy?
say-
What you
Oh,
got?
we got another one.
right.
My favorite one, the biggest one, I think, the number one haunted place on the strip is going to be the Luxor.
And that one's about to get demolished
There
too.
we go.
Right.
About to get demolished.
It
but
is going to be demolished.
No,
Yeah.
they're doing that one in Excalibur.
In Excalibur, they're going to be
I
moving
think
on
it's
to
like a
something else.
Dubai
Yeah.
company's coming in.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's where they want to
Sorry
put
to break the
okay.
news, but
No,
but
I
it is
know.
one of the more haunted ones. And why is that?
Yeah.
Oof. Well, there's tons of things. They also talk about that because of the shape of, it's the Luxor, it's, it's
The pyramid shape
pyramids
was supposed to be.
and,
You're not supposed to build pyramids,
Yeah.
and if there's strict rules, right?
Because there was also the
Yeah.
MGM, the MGM Grand when it first opened was a giant lion's mouth.
Yes.
And
Oh,
in
the
the Asian
Asians made it
culture,
change
they were
that.
like, no, walking through the lion's mouth is actually bad
Bad.
luck.
Yeah,
So-
I remember that. So they had to change it. Yeah.
Now it's like the statue, and then you.
But I
walk
remember
That's
that
why
when
they
it first,
statue.
it was kind of cool walking in the mouth.
It was hella
neat.
cool.
Yeah,
That was
and
hella
they had to
cool.
change it.
The
Yeah.
green
fucking cultures.
Yeah, the green lighting when you walked in it when I was a kid, I was like,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
was,
it was
really
neat.
cool.
dude. But they also talked about the Luxor itself because of the shape of it there's a lot of power. There's a lot of psychic energy and energy about that. But the main thing is that, like I said before, there's a lot of people that when they go to Vegas, they lose a little bit too much, and then they jump off.
And
So have you ever been inside the Luxor?
It's hollow.
It's
Yeah,
hollow.
it's
So you can
hollow.
look
The
up.
rooms are inside.
When you look up, you see the
then
rooms
layer up.
around, and they have these
So
little walls.
people like to just jump off. Into
When they
like
first opened up, there was nothing blocking, so you could actually go.
they
up
have
and crawl.
plexiglass and shit now,
Now,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
Now.
But
After-
a lot of people took nosedives into like the.
There was
the
one
main-
of the first one like landed the buffet.
On the buffet, on the tables.
Now they have like plexiglass over the casino floor itself and covering. They try to block it now,
Yeah.
but the beginning
So you
it wasn't.
can't really jump off.
Well, and before we go into, and I remember I had a buddy working construction on the Luxor, and there was a lot of accidents that people died there. So the whole stigma of making a pyramid is like basically you weren't supposed to make pyramids. There was like an old curse, like you're
Who
not supposed
put
to.
the fucking curse?
I know, right?
Who's the guy that's like, all right, you can make a pyramid.
The
You
pyramid,
can't.
that if you do, you got to do it the right way, and supposedly this pyramid's facing the wrong way.
So we have to have slave labor.
Yeah. Whatever.
Whatever you need.
Buddy,
And
aliens.
stone.
You got to have aliens.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not slave
aliens,
labor, it's
that's right.
aliens.
Fuck, I forgot.
Right.
Yeah.
This guy.
This guy.
I'm sorry.
Fucking guy.
I'm sorry, guys.
But anyway, yeah. So, but that all feeds into the whole mantra of being cursed and
Yeah.
all these deaths. But again, as we talked about, all the hotels have deaths like that.
Oh,
This was just a little more highlighted because instead of jumping outside the windows,
were all jumping
inside.
into
Because
the
outside
casino.
you can't open the windows outside. It's just slip.
Well, now
So-
they have it all seal checked.
and
You
now
can't go.
it's all kind of plexiglass. But you can look when you're there. I mean, if I remember right, you were able to look down on the floor and
Down.
see stuff
Yep.
exactly.
Straight
So,
onto
but
it.
now it's all covered up, which I don't know why they did it in the first place. But yeah, so there was a lot of problems in the first building. There was a lot of deaths of construction workers, accidents happening, stuff. I remember they had a hell of a time trying to figure out how to get the elevators to go this way.
Yeah.
It took them a long time to figure out how to get them to go.
Oh, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So
Slant
that's what they
ways
did. They
and
went
all
down to Willy Wonka and they asked him, "Can you
Hey, how do you do
Slant
it?
ways
That's
and
right.
long
And then he
ways.
goes, I'm going to give you some little people. And
Contrary promptly, Willy Wonka was a total dick, and he didn't want to help
Dude,
him
you
at
know
all.
he killed kids?
Yeah.
The book, no, the book.
Yeah, I
the
know.
book is him killing a bunch of
Yes,
kids, and then
exactly.
one survived.
Okay, I'm sorry. Taking this off
Really?
the rails.
Oh, hell
Good, yes. Okay.
That's
So
what it
anyway,
was.
So I just wanted a little background.
Charlie
of the,
survived the death.
just remember that
Shit.
the building of Luxor was a lot of problems. It did. It was 3 or 4 deaths of construction workers. I remember right because I remember buddies like, well, they sent us home because someone had
Someone
another
died
accident.
again.
Exactly.
No, we have. There's also they've had rumors of there's this there's multiple ladies that have been
Working
heard
class?
that I will
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah.
they say that they wake up and she's like either choking you.
Oh, shit.
Or like
Yeah.
like they've said
Some
they've had
people like
multiple
that.
will say
Yeah.
I was like usually pay double for that here in Vegas. Yeah, no.
He comes out, he's like, I usually pay
He's like,
triple
"Got
for
you."
that.
So these people that are sleeping,
Yeah, right.
they feel like they're getting
Choked
they're
or,
choked, and they wake up and they
assaulted.
actually see somebody there.
Yeah, they feel or they see somebody and then
Dude,
the
could
after
you
she's
imagine?
gone,
Think about
like-
that seriously. Could you think that would freak you the fuck out? Not that there's somebody there, that you can actually feel them kind of
Yeah,
choking
like-
off your breath.
And they said that they would have dreams about her first, and then she would come at them, and
yeah,
then
I
behold
don't
him,
like
and you'd
that.
wake up. And
Yeah.
then
So hold on,
It's
wait.
kinda like
would they have dreams the night before or like
Oh.
right then when it's happening?
right when it's happening.
It's like Freddy
fuck.
Krueger-ish.
Yeah.
It's like Freddy
Like-
Krueger-ish,
yeah,
right?
that's
Yeah.
a
No,
Freddy
if it
Krueger
was like
shit,
the
yeah,
night
like-
before, I'd like get up and like, all right, peace out.
Yeah, if it was the night before. It was
You
like
ain't
That's
getting
gonna
me.
give you a heads up.
You ain't getting me.
No. Kind of Freddy Krueger reminds you like Insidious or something.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
That's what I was like. That's and I'm one of those things like I want to. I'm still curious, but no, I do not.
You better do it now.
Limited
'cause,
time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
right?
very limited.
Well, that's
As I get
crazy.
older, I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want anybody. I don't want no conjuring shit.
Right. Okay, exactly.
We're gonna
Yeah,
do a
it
show.
is.
He does it.
I wonder if on the casino floor with people dropping. I know there was more than
Oh, I'm
one.
sure.
I don't know how many. I'm
They
wondering how
said that
many.
there's
kind of-
multiple different,
It
like
was a
you see
bunch.
shapes. They said there's so many employees in the casino that say they see things, feel things constantly
Yeah.
there.
It's-
Someone I know that
housekeeping
worked
does
there
it.
said that certain staff won't work on certain hours just because like there's not enough volume of people.
Oh, they
and,
won't be
and
alone.
shit gets real creepy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Right.
hell
yeah.
no.
Like
If it's
graveyard
quiet,
hours, they have
yeah.
to like kind of overstaff just to keep people in there to
too
actually
good.
work.
Wow. That's, why does that give me chills?
I know, 'cause
That's
I'm like,
weird,
if you're
right?
in a-
That's weird.
Well, because I mean, like you're sitting there gambling, all of a
Yeah.
sudden you have someone face plant in front of you and shit, and then
Yeah,
it happens
exactly.
multiple times.
Right. But
Like-
there's going to be some residual energy out there.
Yeah,
You're right.
and like-
so I can imagine just the rooms itself, but it's just crazy the actual casino floor.
casino
It gets
floor.
creepy if it gets emptied out enough. So could you imagine during COVID times, like any of the security had to go
Yeah.
Do
through?
you remember when we shut our casino down? How creepy
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah, that was
Fuck
weird.
that.
Yeah, could you
Yeah.
imagine the Luxor?
Those
where-
casinos,
Oh
Yeah.
my
when they're
god!
quiet, you're
I'm
like-
sure like the last person in there was like, Just stay with me.
Yeah, like just stay. Because I mean, if you guys always think about it too, we're like we are. This is a 24-hour town. Like we're constantly used to. There's always something there. So when COVID happened and like the strip shut down, and we were in the casino, like going to a casino, and it was dead quiet.
It was really creepy.
I've never been like our casino was. We had no slot machines on, no
dark.
lights on.
Yeah, it was very few.
Everything was shut
lights.
down, and it was like one of the creepiest feelings I've ever felt. I was like, wow,
even just
that's weird.
Even
just
outside, because all of us drove down the strip when it was empty.
When
it was creepy.
When it was blacked
was
out,
creepy.
you remember when it was blacked out?
Yeah,
that was creepy as shit too.
Yeah,
It felt like you were in an
creepy.
apocalyptic movie.
Yeah, I was like,
exactly. What was it? One
Like
movie,
I
the
Am
zombie
Legend?
one that it was on the strip. That's what it felt like.
The Army of Dead.
Yeah, and then without the zombies, it just driving down, everything was dead, empty, and
dead. It was so eerie.
Biking and
you could
and
see
running
the fucking stars. I remember
was
that.
weird. Yeah,
for the
'cause there's
first
not that
time,
much
you could
light.
really see the stars.
So I guess you talk about being alone stuff. That makes sense because it even just not even
it.
beside the haunting stuff. It's just creepy. Feeling.
well, yeah, being in
It's
that
that
big of a building,
liminal space kind of thing on a grander scale because we're all, like you said, we're always used to seeing these things
Like
on.
just
thousands
people,
of things,
and like what
people.
blinking
you're,
and-
you're used to just presence there,
Right.
and then when you're not, and it's just a
not. You're like-
different fucking feeling. I was like, I didn't like it.
Another episode I'd like to touch on liminal space and that the feeling that we get from that because that is a creepy feeling.
Yeah, we can do
It's
that
a
one.
weird kind of. Yeah, that's cool, man. Yeah, the Luxor has always been one for a hot spot for a bunch of stuff happened. Regardless in the rooms, up in the hallways, on the casino floor. I've heard a bunch of stuff there, and it makes sense because
Hard Rock, I think too. I've
Hard
heard
Rock,
like
the old one,
remember
now the
rehab?
Virgin, or the
No, the old Hard Rock.
yeah. So the
Remember
Virgin
Rehab
Hotel
Club
now,
Rehab?
yeah, it's currently the Virgin.
I've
Hotel.
heard people like when the rehab pool was like in full swing.
Yeah.
People would get so fucked up, or they would like just commit suicide. They'd
Yeah.
jump off into the pool, and the pool's like.
Yeah,
Yeah, wow.
It's telling the rehab
So,
is the club
but
there.
They were just there, and people were so fucked up at that pool that they were just like kind of walking over the person.
Yeah, they didn't realize
And
it. Yeah,
like security had to like clear the goddamn pool out just to pull a dead body out of the fucking pool.
right here. You're like, oh,
Like,
you're like, oh, what?
hey, look, alcohol and drugs and gambling,
Well, no
it
wonder.
changes people.
Charge
Let's
her
just
for
say
like
that.
20 minutes. He was so quiet.
Yeah, right.
But I really liked him.
Yeah, right.
That's
He listened to me.
Sad. Yeah, I mean,
He's a listener. Yeah.
He's such a good listener.
we got any other stories? We got
Weekend at Bernie's.
any personal stories out there? Or we got anything else?
I've had one that was personal because that's
Yeah.
where it started with me.
Let's
'cause-
jump into a personal story here.
Well, I had like my buddies and I. They live up in like Summerlin area, and mom and all them still lived with their mom, so I was hanging out with them. And they used to talk about that there were times that they would do little seances at the house, and, push
So
a
they're
little
asking
bit.
for it.
Yeah, and they were doing some weird stuff. So there was
Just to mess
times
around,
that-
or just to kind of because they
one of
like
the older brothers like to mess around because there's 4 brothers, so
Okay.
they're getting into some trouble. But yeah, there was one time that we did some seance stuff, and it was weird. But there was one night that I was sleeping in my buddy's room, one of the brothers, and he'd always complained that he had a time where he had somebody like right above him, like you could feel a presence like right there, and he's just like. Okay, because there's been times where he's talked about that he came home and he could see a woman in this tiny
shit.
Would you
little
get
window.
like sleep paralysis from this?
He
Where it was like you
could
couldn't move,
feel-
but it was just there?
Yeah.
he was just like, oh, I'm just gonna turn around.
Okay,
Like
yeah.
ignore
Yeah.
it and completely
Ignore
be
it.
like, I don't see
What else
this.
can you do? Like, you
Oh,
know,
dude,
Jesus,
I'd
right
be like,
there.
I gotta go pee.
Yeah, I'd be like, I guess I'm peeing myself.
you feel a little nibble on your neck, like, oh god,
It's like scary
What's
movie
the
too.
second
Derek,
word?
that better be you.
I'm going to
Swear
my
to
happy
God.
place.
She's touching me in my happy place. I was like in my no-no
My
zone.
happy place. No, not that happy place, man. Oh no.
And then you become of age, and you're like, if you do that again, I'm gonna get you back.
Right?
You're not gonna like it.
Like, I'll
That's
be
when you go
punching
get
somebody. I'm
Ghost
like,
lawyer. I'm sorry. Ghost lawyer. All right, again, we got to
No,
track.
yeah. But yeah, so then he told me about that story, and I was like, all right, whatever. And then there was one night that we're sleeping, and it's like 3 o'clock in the morning. I wonder why. I wake up, and I feel something above me, so I kind of get up. And he's got an oscillating fan.
Okay,
big
yeah.
oscillating fan.
Yeah.
And every time it moves, I don't feel any air coming right here. Like, it's just like you can feel the
screw
air
that.
right here, and then
Screw that.
here. And I'm just standing there and go,
Like,
I'm going back to bed. And I just literally was like, pull the blankets over my head. And I was like, no. I don't want this in my life. I don't. Because ever since then, I was like, we're not.
what an odd.
Because I was
Dude,
like
I can
poking
tell
around
you-
with it. Now I'm like,
no,
no.
I can tell you right now. I run hot when I sleep.
Yeah.
If something's blocking my fan, I would have slapped the shit out of
Exactly.
those.
Yeah.
I'd be like, if you don't move right now,
Right.
we're gonna have issues.
I need my fan.
I love that because I've never heard that before. But
I've never
what
heard
a
that either.
Weird sensation of being like,
When's that air gonna hit me right now?
Like,
what is
it's doing this, and I let it go like 3 passes, and I can feel it here and here, and I'm like,
You know what would have been real creepy if you like put your hand out and you
Feel
couldn't feel
cold,
it, and all of a
cold.
sudden then at a point you
Oh,
could feel
yeah.
the cold. Fuck! I would have got up left.
I'm like,
My
see,
eyes
that's
would
why I was
be
like, I'm already getting chills thinking about it right now. I'm like,
Tommy
don't.
boy.
I was like,
I feel it here. I feel it right here, but not so much right here. But
right here.
right here, not so much here. Yeah, that's creepy as shit, man. Fuck. So
he's even told me
that.
he's had a ton of stories since he's done that, because he had one time where he was working at Smith's, and just this guy was there, and he was with his wife, and he was just like, I can't take this anymore, and he pulled out a knife in the frozen section and slit his throat.
Whoa,
right there.
really?
They
And
didn't
Joe
have
was
it-
like right
Yeah.
in front of him.
Wow.
And my buddy was sitting there, and he was just like, and he just started laughing because he didn't
else
know
can
how
you
to.
do?
Well, no,
he's like,
people just don't know what to do.
you
Sometimes.
don't know what to do sometimes when
Yeah.
you're watching something
People
like
cry,
this,
they
like
laugh,
somebody
they-
dying in front of you. You're like,
They go into
you're
shock.
Sahara,
you going to
Maryland,
shock. Yeah, right. Sarah, Maryland. No, I forget which one it was.
Yeah, yeah.
But
He's
he
like,
was, he ever since then he's definitely seen way more crazy stuff, and he's been a truck driver. So him and his wife
truck
see
drivers,
like,
yeah.
So a
bro,
person
they
like
see
that,
stuff
I mean,
all
is
the time.
so, and this is the one that did the seance stuff.
Yeah, same
So-
brothers.
so
They
here's
might
the
have
thought.
opened something up when they
Open
were
a
younger.
portal, but also is a negative energy following him where
I
it
think
does
it's
help people to do
attached.
stuff to him, attached to him.
Like Persephone says,
Something we can
you get-
ask
you
her.
get it.
It attaches to him,
Yeah.
and then
and then it might influence other
other
people, around him.
him.
Not him per se, but is doing fucked up things. to
Somebody who's
people.
unstable
So
enough,
like,
like that
I'm
gentleman,
getting chills.
and it just told him like he's
And
like
he
at that
just
point he's like,
walked
you know
near
what?
him?
It's the time. It's time to do it now, and it's fucking just gonna.
I'm getting chills
It would
right
have
now.
been creepier
thinking
if he
about
like
it.
looked him in the eye too when he did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Right.
I'll be like, bro, like,
Fuck.
right,
I want to
same.
bring up one of the hauntings supposedly that me and you went in the Foster's Park one,
Oh my
which
God.
which we ourselves like
All right.
this is bullshit. I never even believe it. But so there's a Foster's Park down in Henderson, which is Henderson's right next to Vegas. I mean they're basically one city, and there's a famous story of the Foster's Park that has a supposedly ghost kid on a swing.
Yeah,
ghost.
and there's a
Strange
whole thing
enough,
that goes through there.
That's
It's
the
like
park I grew up in. My parents live right down the street from there, and that's the park I grew up in.
and I played at that park when I was growing up too.
Weird.
And I had never heard anything before until recently, like maybe 10 years ago. It came out of nowhere. Where someone's like, "Oh,
So-
somebody was killed there, and his kid would blood with him." So,
So
anyways.
you heard that 10 years ago when I think I had to be maybe 13, 14.
yeah.
And that's when they started doing the tours.
Oh, okay.
And so someone brought up the tour where they go to Foxridge Park, they go to the park that I pretty much lived at in my neighborhood, and they go to 2 or 3 other ones.
Yeah.
And my dipshit friend climbed a tree one time
Yeah.
when he knew they were coming, and when the people were coming, he chopped out of the tree. Scared the shit out of me.
Because yeah, they would do these
And
tours.
it's-
Right?
yeah.
You could be
And
there,
so
standing there, and watch these
I
people
actually
tour.
asked the guy, I was like, "Why are you doing these tours?" And he's like, "Oh, your park's haunted." I go, "The fuck it is. It's
And
not
it's
haunted.
not haunted. I've been there all the
I've
time.
been in here all hours
At
of the
night,
night.
yeah, same
There's
night, I'm with
no
you,
haunting
right.
in this park." He
Although-
goes, "Well, Fox Ridge is haunted." And I was like,
No, it's not.
With what?
Yeah.
And he goes, "Yeah, there's a kid on a swing." And I'm like, I've never once seen anything like that.
When I was there younger, obviously I'm a little older. None of that wasn't even in stories, but I'd spent plenty of time there. And then so we actually went in very early iteration of I don't know, was it
PGS,
or
yeah.
PGS or other show? We went and we did a little ghost hunting
yeah.
thing there, and we did the whole shebang and stuff, and we didn't see anything. And I don't,
Right.
there was no eerie feeling. Again, ghosts are not on beck and call when
Maybe
you
they
want them
don't
to
like
be.
3 grown men walking around. I don't know.
Maybe not
Right.
exactly. Yeah, but I had never heard from friends or anybody else about that, and that lived in that area.
Right.
Ever talk about that?
Now the funny thing was, I think it was like I was a senior in high school, and this, high school fights. I'm gonna meet you at the park.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, right.
these kids met at Fox Ridge, and I was there. Kid got busted up over his eye, and he
yeah.
walked across the. He was in the grass, so there's like grass, grass, and he bled, all drops of blood. And that night we went back and we were all hanging out, and that fucking tour came through. And the guy was like, "Do you see the blood of the kid?"
Oh,
And I looked at that guy. I was like, "That was a fight that just happened today, you asshole."
He's like, oh, but there's
He
blood.
was doing anything he could to sell that fucking tour.
Yeah, I
sounds
mean,
like
I don't
But
want
we
to.
felt nothing.
Yeah, I don't want to dunk on tours and bash
No,
them
I
and
mean,
stuff.
yeah,
I get it.
fuck it.
but
If it works, it works.
we
Yeah,
just
right.
happen to know personal experience, and
It's
we know
not
that
there.
park, and we don't see anything there. I've never, like I said, people that I've known there, I've never heard any stories.
You
of that.
grew up right down the street from it.
Right.
I grew
Sorry.
up down the street from it. I never heard a goddamn thing of any
Could
of
it be? Possibly, but we didn't feel anything there. We just
Maybe a
went there at
bum
night.
died.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know.
Right, yeah,
That's
maybe a
possible.
bum guy.
Exactly.
Yeah, but that'd be like a bathroom eerie type thing.
I'll tell you what, the bathroom there is eerier than anything else. But that bathrooms.
Well,
oh,
the bathroom
it.
in my park is eerie
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Any
it's always
park
here.
bathroom are a little
Park
sketch.
bathrooms. There we go. That's
Stay away from
that.
that.
Stay away
You
from park
might want
bathrooms.
to do a series on that.
Yeah. I don't want to do
The
that.
unseen
I'm not doing
killer.
it. Someone
On the
else. Someone
scene.
else out there.
Chris, on the scene here. I'm on the scene in the bathroom. The students
guy
going
had
on.
a lot of corn.
I hear grunting going on behind me. Oh, there's somebody in here.
You teach that turd who's
There's
boss.
a rotten smell of eggs, and I think there's a
I
demon in
smell
here.
death.
Getting a
Sulfur.
nice
That's right.
garlicky aroma.
There's a demon
nice
in here. And
barnyard.
the guy's like, "Yeah, that demon's gone now."
That damn demon's in me. I get a nice barnyard whiff coming out of this. It's my sommelier training for you.
Ooh.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh man.
Oh, Poumanier.
Yeah, right.
Now, like we there's a bunch of places we didn't say, like the Mob Museum.
Yeah,
apparently is
Mob
on
Museum.
it, which is
Museum.
kind of weird because that's a fairly new fucking building,
Yeah,
and there's
that's-
nothing
Well, that was a
happened
city
there.
hall, old
So I
city
didn't
hall
talk
building.
about it. 'cause I was
Yeah,
like,
but nothing happened at that old city hall,
I
like
think
murders or anything.
when I was reading about that, I think it's just the actual
the property
stuff,
they
the
brought
property
in
they
there.
brought in. It could be attached
Maybe.
to there. Maybe I don't know
Maybe.
either. I didn't want to touch that one either.
Zach Bagans thing is supposed to be haunted.
We felt like that
we've
was
talked about
clickbait.
that. Yeah,
We even had a friend go through it.
And she
Yeah,
was just-
she ended up having to leave
she
halfway
just
through.
said they kept it way too cold in there with the AC.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what they're doing. They're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
she said it's freezing in here.
I'm sure. So downtown on Fremont, I'm sure there's stories out the ass. The
El
old
Cortez.
Apache,
Yeah.
The Binions,
Binions,
Apache.
Cortez.
We've heard there's a lot of stuff
El
down
Cortez,
there.
I've
There's
heard.
one of them that I think it's the Binions that they didn't even open it. One of their towers is completely empty because it's just that haunted.
Damn.
The
Is it
owner
really?
won't open it.
Really. So there's a bunch of stuff we didn't touch, and we could probably do another session of this again and other
Yeah,
stuff.
we
in
could
there,
even
but-
do some of the casinos that aren't even standing anymore. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You know, there's a bunch of stuff they can do.
Tropicana, I'm
So,
sure has some
like,
shit.
As we're talking, Circus, Luxor,
Coast.
and Excalibur are down.
They're about to get
They're about to
They're
be
about to be
demolished and
demolished.
rebuilt over and stuff, and some people think that's a shame, but I think it's cool.
It's evolution.
As I was talking to one of our guests on the bar, we were talking about this because I like it. I like it that Vegas is always reinventing itself.
They
You
have
know
to.
what?
They have
I
to.
like that too. They need to keep up.
They
with it.
have to because you
But I do.
can't keep this old shit and expect
Yeah.
like Circus. No one fucking goes in
Nobody
there.
goes to Circus.
Well, when I heard about Luxor and Excalibur, I was shocked. I'm like, that place is just. I go, oh wait, no, that was like 30 years ago.
34
Yeah, I
years
know,
ago.
right? Yeah.
For me, it's something like just a little while ago. I'm like, oh, it's 30
And
years
now
old.
you look at
so-
like Aria or Resorts World.
Mirage was done. Mirage, I remember when Mirage first opened. That was
Yeah.
late '80s too. So I mean, this stuff goes through and reinvents itself. But that's what Vegas does, and you know what? It's nice. It is cool that they.
I can't wait to see what they build.
I know,
yeah.
right?
Yeah,
I mean,
everything
shit.
is
We
new
get
and-
Disney.
There we go. Yeah,
something.
Maybe we'll get a Disneyland here. Maybe.
Yeah.
What is it? Yeah, my dad actually. Side note, he was actually one of the contractors. He was one of the guys that built the Excalibur.
Nice.
Okay.
And he came up with the design.
Wow.
Funny enough, he came
Yeah.
up with the
You
brick
fucking
design.
asshole.
And my dad's like, no, my dad's like, this fucking. He always tells me, he's like, this is one of his things he hates because he's like, he came up with the design for the Excalibur and how
Yeah.
they could make that brick.
Yeah.
And then it's such a simple design because they were like, oh, it's going to cost all this money. He goes, why don't you just do this? And he built the brick and they went, oh, cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's just.
And they never paid him
Yeah,
for it.
that
And he was
sounds-
like,
that
dude,
sounds about right.
Yeah, he was
That
like,
sounds about
dude,
right.
he told
That's
me,
about
he's
right.
like, this is how it works, and this is how all that brick structure is laid out.
Yeah.
And he's like, but as soon as I did it,
He didn't
I didn't
get
get a
the patent
patent or
on it.
nothing, so they were like, yoink. And they were
That
like,
sucks.
You know
not
what?
even.
Fuck, and my
Not
dad's
even a
like-
little bit. Like, hey, here's a little something. Thank you for that. Really.
yeah. He's like, that's one of his things that he was like, because now he retired with City of Henderson. He did he does all
Okay.
the streets and roads and all the. He makes sure that the he does like the cylinders in the ground and make sure that that's all good for them. But I was like, damn, like now that I didn't realize that the Excalibur's getting imploded. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. It goes. I mean, that's the way it goes.
taking a
man.
brick. From
You know
my
what I
dad.
didn't think of?
What's up?
I mean, we did like the major hotels.
Yeah.
What about like the little motels that
Ah,
fuck the
dude.
day
Yeah.
by day shit and like the bars? that-
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. You know, we could do more
The Clown
episodes
Motel.
of
You wanna go to
Haunted
the Clown
Vegas
Motel?
stuff.
Dude,
No,
yeah, the Clown Motel.
I am not going to no Clown Motel.
I fucking hate clowns, but
Yeah, I'm not
I'd
gonna do
stay
it.
in it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go
Look
to
at
no
this
Clown
shit,
Motel.
dude. Fuck
You
out.
might see on the news someone freaks out and tries to burn the Clown Motel down.
This could be-
That'd be me.
I don't like clowns, but I love Pennywise on It. I love it.
yeah.
The new one or the old one?
The new one.
New one's great.
New
one's
Bill
great.
Skarsgård, he
Yeah.
did a
Yes,
great job.
that was such a great movie.
And
Anyways.
apparently, when he was on set, all he did was make fucking Bill Hader crack the fuck up.
Oh yeah, dude. he's
Like
just
all
making
they
them
were doing
laugh.
was laughing their ass off.
All right, we're getting sidetracked a little bit. Hey, man, anything else you guys want to bring up
think
or
I'm
anything?
good.
Chris, hey, thank you for coming in. Chris, thank you,
Yeah.
man. Appreciate you coming in with some
Thanks, man.
stories and everything, and your energy and everything.
If anyone ever goes to Del Frisco's off of Paradise and the lights start flickering, please leave a comment and tell me. I would
Yeah.
love to know if my
that'd be
uncle's still
cool.
haunting.
You guys got places out there that you know of, and you're in the Vegas area that you'd want us to bring up, or you just want to put your stories down there, please put them on there, man. Or
Yeah.
again, we always
We'd love
ask
to
her
read it.
any
Yeah.
ideas if you guys would want us to tackle and stuff and bring on. We got hopefully we'll have Chris on again here and maybe
yeah.
a future date and stuff.
yeah.
And
Have more stories.
please, guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Hit that notification button too. I never mentioned
Bing
that, so you know when we come back on. Yeah, exactly. All right, everybody. Well, thank you again, buddy. We good?
Yeah, we're
All
good.
right.
I think
Knock
we're
it out.
good.
Bye, everybody. See ya.
Have a good one.
Stay scary.